welcome along to the Property Academy podcast. I'm your host, Ed McKnight.
I'm Andrew Nicol.
And today on the show, we are talking about 4 case studies that are actually based on an event we were at last night. Where were we, Andrew?
The Waikato Property Investors Association were kind enough to host us.
We had such a ball because this was a bit different from any of the other events we've previously done with the property investors associations around the country, where instead of us just presenting to the members,
Us waffling on.
they presented and waffled on to us. So there were 4 deals in total that they presented, and then we got to choose the winner. And the winner won a pretty awesome prize, if I can say that.
Dinner with us.
Well, no, it wasn't dinner with us, though. Perhaps we should take them out in the future. What they won is you'll see them featured in the NZ Property Investor magazine, and also they're going to come on this podcast to share with everybody listening to the show their specific deal, because these are really cool deals. And the reason I like them is that they all have something to do with new builds. Now, you'd say, of course, you'd say that, Ed. You guys always talk about new builds, but these are active investors. Each of these 4 scenarios are active investors, but who have either developed a new build themselves on their land and subdivided, or they've just built a minor dwelling, which we're going to take you through. Now, for all of you who listen to this on YouTube, you're going to notice something different today. We're going to be sharing our screen with you so you can actually see photos of the deals. Now, for you guys listening in the audio version on the podcast, you're still going to get a lot of value. It'll still make total sense, but we're just going to add something a little bit extra to you guys who follow us on YouTube so you can actually see what we're looking at. Now, Andrew, take it away with the first one, because this was a property investor called Yvonne.
Yeah, so Yvonne presented this one we called Awesome Ancillary. So basically she bought a property in Hamilton and it was partially renovated already. So what she did is she finished off the renovation by adding an extra bedroom and a toilet. Cost her $60,000 there. But then she did the classic new build strategy. So she added a minor dwelling to the back of the section. And so again, if you're looking at this online, you'll be able to see the massive section that Ed's waving his mouse at. Waving his mouse at sounds a bit wrong. Got GJ Gardner to build a whole new build on the back there. It was a 3-bedroom. Was it 2-bedroom or 2-bedroom?
It was a 2-bedroom.
2-bedroom. It was 2-bedroom for $250K. And there was a $50K subdivision cost. So she actually subdivided the section so that she was able to get 2 standalone freehold titles.
It costs quite a bit to subdivide a property, and I think it's sometimes surprising for people who haven't subdivided before that it does cost quite a bit of money.
Yes, but the massive uplift in value by doing that is significant. And so the total rent that she got for the extra unit is $550 a week, which she also got for the front unit as well, the renovated property. That's 9.5% gross yield on the extra $300K total capital spent.
Now, just to explain how we got that, because that was something we had a couple of questions about last night. So how do we calculate that 9% gross yield?
So what we've done is we've said $550 a week times 52 for the rent for the back unit. And then we've said the building cost was $250 and the subdivision cost were $50. So total of $300. We've said that's the cost of the additional unit. The $60K, of course, that went into renovation for the front. That helped achieve the $550 that you got for the front unit.
Now, what's really cool about this is Yvonne has taken this property from earning $550 a week, if it was just the front house that was already there that was partially renovated. By adding on the back unit as well, it's earning $1,100 a week in total. And Andrew, just take us through the numbers of what this property is worth and what she spent on it.
So the purchase price originally was $650, and that was bought in 2021. And then, of course, you've got your subdivision cost, which is $50, your building cost for the additional unit, which is $250, and the renovation cost for the front unit, which is $60. So total project cost of $360. Rental income, you've got $1,100 per week, which is 2 sets of $550. So your final value, we've said $1.2 million. So $190K worth of uplift, which is massive. Actually, before when Ed and I were crunching through the numbers, he whispered in my ear, $190K, that's not massive, is it? And then I said to him, how long does it take someone to save $190,000? That could take 10 years.
You'd have to earn something like $280K pre-tax, pay your tax, and then save all of that money.
And live in a cave for a year.
100%. So really, really good deal here, and really well done to Yvonne. Now, the one that I want to talk to you about next is a different sort of strategy, and it is called Snell's. This was on Snell's Drive in Chartwell in Hamilton, for anybody who knows Hamilton. Of course, this was going to be in Hamilton because it's the Waikato Property Investors Association. Now, here's a really interesting one. This was bought by a couple called Sanjay and Ice, and they bought a 1,000 square metre section in Hamilton, and it had a house at the front. And then at the back, there was a reasonably large section of land. I mean, not massive. It was 1,000 metres squared, but they were still able to subdivide it. So what they did was they spent some money, subdivided the property, built a 4-bedroom property, new build on the back, and that cost them $340K. The subdivision actually cost a lot of money, more than Yvonne's, more than twice what Yvonne spent, $110K. $110K for the subdivision, $340 for the new build, so $450,000 spent to build that property. And it's really nice, but then what they did, different strategy to all you buy and hold investors, they sold the back section. So this is a bit of a flipping or a trading type strategy where they are developing the property, selling it off for a profit. Now, how much do you think, Andrew, they sold it for if they spent $450K building it?
$600,000.
No, $705K.
Amazing.
So they did really, really well out of this, spending $450 to make $705. So that's an uplift of about $255K. Now, of course, you've got to pay tax on that. There's GST. They're giving up some of the land or the original property, so that might decrease that in value compared to what it otherwise would have been. But really positive result here for these guys. And I mean, that's really a life-changing amount of money if you really think about it, that you might be walking away with $150K, $200K to be able to go and reinvest. So really positive here. And again, good to see that you're still able to use new builds, but in a different way, still in an active style that tends to be right for some of the people who go to property investors associations.
Well, it's for people that are so passionate that they want to make property their life, not just have a normal job as well.
100%. Now, tell us about another one that was actually by Yvonne, and what's the name we've given this one?
This is the duplex darling. So again, Yvonne's second project that we looked at. So she had a property in Hamilton East already, and this property needed a total renovation. Like it was just not worth just keeping it there and doing the renovation. So she thought, right, I'm going to rip it down. I'm going to build 2 new properties. She contacted a building company, and they said to her, we can get 2-bedroom units with single garages on there. And she thinks, oh, this is going to look quite good. But then she thinks, actually, I'll query this with another building company. And this is the really interesting part. The second building company, same laws apply, said, actually, if we move the driveway to the other side of the property, we can get further intensification on this property, and we can get 2 3-bedroom duplexes on here with double garages. So way better rent, way better value there, just by thinking a bit more creatively. And so I think this is a really important thing and really good message, that maybe don't just go to one professional and accept that answer. Maybe look around and make sure that you are getting the best value for your money. In terms of Yvonne's situation, she knew that no bank was going to be able to fund this project. And actually, to be fair, even a second-tier finance company wasn't probably going to do a project like this for her. But because she had a good relationship with a non-bank lender, she presented this to them. They said, actually, you've been great at paying back your debt in the past, so why not? And they funded this for her.
And actually, just for you guys on YouTube, take a look at this duplex, because you can see here they're pretty standard, brick and tile, really good quality properties. Some tenants are going to love these when they move into them. And having that double garage, it's just so much a much better use of that land.
Absolutely.
Now, Andrew, just walk us through the numbers so people can see the uplift that Yvonne got here, because it's pretty significant.
That's huge. So your subdivision costs for this one and professional fees were $150, because it's, again, quite significant. Building costs, and that'll include the demolition. Building costs $580. The lending costs $80. So pretty chunky because she's going to a non-bank lender, but who cares? Got the deal done. Total cost is $1.22 million. The final value at the moment is $1.7. So massive uplift there.
So each of those properties, those new builds that she's built, the 3-bed, 2 garage, $850K each is what they're currently valued at. Now, if she does decide to sell them, and I think that might be her plan, she's got GST to pay, obviously some tax and some agents fees, so she's not going to get the full 480, but it's huge. It's still significant. She's going to be doing really, really well out of this. And again, it's just really cool to see that there are investors out there doing this stuff. And one thing that is really impressive when you go to a Property Investors Association, and we're big fans of them here at Opes and Andrew and I personally, is that people like Yvonne, people like Sanjay are willing to share their experience. So if you're somebody who likes that more active approach, going along to a Property Investors Association can sometimes be really good because people are so willing to share their experience.
And I think not only for making extra money, like in a case like this where Yvonne got a little bit of extra advice and knew that maybe she could spot an opportunity by moving that driveway. Also in learning their mistakes to avoid, because saving money by making a mistake is just as good as making money.
Now, I want to take you through the last project, and this is such an interesting one. So what happened here is the Sanjay and Ice, the couple we talked about in the second one, the one that sold the property that they built on Snell's Drive, they also purchased a duplex in New Plymouth, in Marfell. Now, actually, when I originally was talking to Sanjay before we went to the event, I said to him, so are you working with Ilsa Wolf from Opes Accelerate, which is our renovations program? The reason I asked him was that I know she's been hunting around Marfell in New Plymouth at the moment. Now, back when I was growing up, this was known...
You're still growing up.
I'll be growing up at 50 still. This was known as a bit of a dodgy suburb, but it's a bit more up and coming these days.
What did your mum say about it?
She said, you don't drive down there. You don't drive through there.
Turns out you do if you want a deal.
Well, 100%. They bought these for $300K. It's a big corner section on Cook Street.
The whole
in
thing
Marfell.
for $300K. Amazing.
And I mean, I don't know the exact month it was, but like this is pretty recent. You know, there's a reason why I've been banging on about New Plymouth. Now, the purchase price was $295. Now, there were a couple of issues with this. The first thing was that the original duplex that was there, so there are 2 stories, 3 bedrooms each attached. They were in such a state. For you guys on YouTube, you'll be able to see this.
That is gross.
You'd be grubbier having got into the shower than coming out of the shower.
You stole my joke from last night now.
Well, it's absolutely true. I'd be in there being worried about the spiders. I wouldn't want to touch anything. But these guys did a great job renovating that, spent $75K. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but...
It does.
I mean,
it does when you think about the fact that the purchase price was $300K.
Well, that's the key thing here. To renovate the 2 properties, $75K, and the state of it. Look at the state of it. It's great now.
They've done a beautiful job.
I think it's like fake wood floors by the looks of things, putting in new showers. So that's really cool. What's interesting was they then rented these out through Housing New Zealand so that they are going to be able to claim the tax exemptions. They're going to be able to treat these as if they were new builds because they're renting out through social housing. Now, what's key is that law actually hasn't been passed, but there's an expectation that it would be because it was in the government's latest documents. Now, there was something really cool that they did. So they've bought this duplex, big piece of land with 2 properties on it, which was on one title. They first of all subdivided it so that these 2 attached properties are now separate. And you can see the final version there. And then what they did was, because it was on such a big section, they subdivided the back of it as well. So they've taken the big section and now they've got 3 titles, 3 legally separate sections on the one that they purchased. What are they going to do then? They're going to build 2 new build properties on the back section and subdivide again.
Amazing.
It's enormous what they're able to do. So before, they had 1 title, 1 legal property that had 2 dwellings on it. After they've done all of this, they're going to have 4 titles with 4 dwellings on it. And let me take you through the numbers because it is amazing. So total cost for them, including their original purchase price, was just a touch over $1 million. You know, they're going to spend $570K building the 2 new homes. The subdivision costs all up $75K and renovation $75K. So they've spent just a touch over $1 million. Now, the final value of those properties, and they are still building those new builds, but they are expecting that it's going to be just a touch over $1.8 million. they're going to make in equity $800K on this deal. And on top of that, they are more than tripling the rent they were getting.
That's crazy.
So before, the 2 duplexes were rented out at $250 a week each. So they made $500 in total a week. Well, because of the renovations, they've been able to put up the duplexes by over $100 a week each. And both of the new builds will be about $450 a week each. So instead of renting it out for $500 a week, they're going to rent it out for $1,620. This is a great deal. And actually, we haven't even dug into all the details of this. Now, what I want you to do is just think in your head, who do you think was the winner last night? And actually, full disclosure, if you were there were actually 5 properties that were shown, but one of them was one of Ilse's investors. And so
we didn't want to make it a bias race.
No. So clearly she didn't win. I told her before, I said, Ilse, you can't clearly win this because you've already been on the podcast and in the magazine. But which one do you think won? Which one's going to come on the podcast? Now, look, all 4 deals were great, but we're going to get on Sanjay and Ice from the last one we talked about, the new Plymouth one, the Three's a Crowd, because there is a lot of complexity in this deal. They've built retaining walls. They've had to go through the subdivision process, renting out to Housing New Zealand. There's a lot of detail in here. So you're going to be able to hear more about that, both on this podcast when we get him on, and also in Property Investor Magazine. We'll do a feature on him or on both of them, on that couple, to talk about this deal because it is a really cool deal. Fantastic. Let's wrap it up there. But what I do want to say is if you're listening and you help run events at a local property investors association anywhere in New Zealand, because there are 19 of them, we would love to bring this format right around the country. And the reason we like it is it's nice to have real property investors sharing and presenting their deals to the association so that it really does create a community, so that when you're seeing Sanjay or Yvonne at the next event, you can say, hey, just talk to me about this. I'm thinking of something similar. And you can create that community at the association. Now, if you'd like us to come and run this event with you, that would be really great. Reach out to me, ed@opespartners.co.nz. And I just want to thank again both the Waikato Property Investors Association for having us last night, and also Natasha, who's the president there, who is also a listener of the show, for inviting us along, because we had such a great time meeting you in person finally, and also all the members of your association. Let's wrap it up there, but please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Really does help us get the message out to more people. Thanks for listening to the Property Academy podcast. I'm your host, Ed McKnight.
And I'm Andrew Nichol.
And we're going to be back again tomorrow with even more daily strategies, tactics, and insights to help you get the most out of the New Zealand property market. Until next time.